How you guys doing? This is very important. Back in the 80s, I had to wear a leg brace on my leg because the satellite man was damaging my leg when they caused the Osgood slaughter on my leg. And the Ace Bandage Company needs to check the history and the time and date when I bought that Ace bandage in reference to the government damaging my leg and the other particular leg braces that my mother had at the mansions, and the medical reports that was against the government satellite controllers have to be presented on a website in reference to time and dates of court cases that my mother, Doris Duke, had against these government people. And my driver's license is missing, so I don't know if it's at the pawn shop or the bank, because I had to get loans on some things so I could pay the taxes on the house. And my driver's license is either at the pawn shop or my driver's license might be at the Bank of America, but it's missing. It's not in my wallet. So just thought I'd mention that. So I have to find out where that's at. So do I go there tomorrow? Everything's closed right now. So in reference to the information, no, I don't have my identification that my mother presented to the police department and the courts back in the day, which has my birth name on it, or some of my birth name. I have a very long birth name because I'm the only child and last living relative of my parents. And so in reference to my birth name, I have to carry all the names of my mother and father and grandparents, meaning like my parents had to carry the family names too. But I'm the only 100% child of my parents. So, I'm the last living relative of the family name and family tree. So in reference to any harm that the government has caused to me, they have to get sued extremely hard in government and for their violations of the murder of my parents. And procedural laws are not being followed against these people. And the government has to get charged for intentionally neglecting the law books and the processes against these people. And California knows that my body was documented in California, and all this damage these people have caused to my body from satellites or them shooting at me or them shooting and trying to murder me, and all the reasons and all their displacement of blame. These government people can get the death penalty for displacement of blame. And there is evidence against some of these politicians that they're covering up and the fact of the past. They've tried to accusate against me as their way of claiming they were trying to clear their name when my mother had their political ass in court, and they lost to a judge and jury, and they lost to my mother in court. And yet the procedures of law are not being followed. I have not received any compensation from the courts at all, and that is the destitute intentional crime and neglect activities and financial destitution crimes against the courts. So if the courts have sent money, we need the time and date that they sent the money, and we need the information known that I did not receive any of the court monies from anything, and that has to be documented, and they have to ask the courts what the problem is. If the courts say the post office has been known in history of conspiring with the CIA. So in reference to, and they've conspired with politicians, the post office is not allowed to follow orders of politicians. The post office has its own scanning process, its own security process. If the FBI or CIA or dirty government or dirty law enforcement confiscated or stole things such as monies, checks, or credit cards or gifts after they had been scanned to show that there is nothing harmful in them, such as any anthrax or disease or drugs or any shit like that. If the government intercepted any postal mail, the government has to get prosecuted for attempts of murder and identity theft. See, the post office has its own scanning network where it scans packages, where it can detect different things in envelopes, different things in packages, and they have, that process. So in reference to government confiscating or playing identity theft, those politicians face life in prison or the death penalty. If they are satellite controllers that stole postal mail, or if they're tied in with satellite controllers that stole postal mail, those people can get put on. If they've been any of the people that's tried to murder me or stole from me, they can face the death penalty or life in prison, whoever the fuck they are. That's the facts of law.